Hello and welcome to Moments in History. I'm Linda Shenton-Matchett, author, speaker, and history geek. During my research, I often unearth intriguing and little-known facts about World War II that I love to share. Today, I'm talking about big business versus the U.S. government. After the attack on Pearl Harbor in December 1941, it seemed to only take a matter of months for U.S. corporations to convert from peacetime production to the manufacture of weapons and associated war materiel. Everyone realized that if the Allies were going to defeat the Axis powers, they needed to outproduce them. As a result, most companies implemented 3 shifts, ensuring that machines and employees never ceased cranking out products. Unemployment plummeted to nearly 0%, and workers were hired in droves for big businesses' government contracts. Salaries increased to never-before-seen levels, and the economic pinch of the Great Depression seemed to disappear overnight. Discretionary income rose as people's paychecks grew exponentially, earning hourly rates 4, 5, or even 10 times over those previously earned in the 1930s. Patriotism soared, and life was good. Until it wasn't. In January 1943, more than a year after Pearl Harbor, the SSschenectady snapped in half and sank off the coast of Oregon. Having returned from her sea trials, the ship was moored at the fitting dock at Swan Island. Suddenly, and without warning, and with a noise that could be heard at least a mile away, the hull cracked almost in half. The cracks reached down both sides almost to the keel, which fractured and then jackknifed. Only the bottom plates of the ship held. This was not the first incident of this nature. There had been 10 other major incidents, but this one perhaps the most prominent. It occurred in full view of the city of Portland, and newspapers across the country reported it. Ultimately, the ship was repaired and entered service 4 months later. Kaiser Shipyard went on to produce 500 more ships without incident. Investigations commenced, and the determination was that defective welding caused this and about half of the other incidents. However, some investigations turned up faulty and fraudulent work practices at some of the yards. As a result, the government began to take big business to court. Carnegie Illinois Corporation, a subsidy of U.S. Steel, was charged with willfully and consciously delivering faulty material to the Navy, Maritime Commission, and Lend-Lease Administration, as well as falsifying steel test records. Charges include claims that corporation officials attempted to delay and even obstruct the investigation. Another corporation to come under the microscope was the Anaconda Wire and Cable Company. In December of 1942, they were charged with conspiring to sell the government defective communication and other combat wire, saying the officials well knew that the use of such wire would endanger the lives of men in military service. Then there was the Curtiss Wright Corporation, who held the second largest war contract in the country. In July of 1943, the Laughlin plant was accused of falsifying tests on airplane engines, destroying records, foregoing inspection reports, changing tolerance allowed on parts, and skipping inspection operations. Further accusations stated that inspectors who complained were intimidated or transferred. Other companies accused and found guilty of the same or similar crimes during 1943 included the Bond Aluminum and Brass Corporation of Detroit, Sandusky Foundry and Machinery Company, National Bronze and Aluminum Company of Cleveland, Antonelli Fireworks Company, and Collier Insulated Wire Company of Rhode Island. Where was the patriotism now? Had it fallen in the wake of profit? In an August 1943 speech, Attorney General Francis Biddle, who would later become the primary American judge at the Nuremberg trials, reported that big business frauds in this war are much bigger than they were in 1917 or 1918. He went on to say that 123 federal indictments had been filed, with 71 of them having been completed with convictions or penalties handed down on about 90% of the cases. Nearly 1,300 investigations were also pending at the time. Reports at the time indicated that several companies pleaded nolo contendere, which means they didn't contest the charges and threw themselves on the mercy of the court. In the years since the war, scholars and World War II buffs have debated the veracity of the cases and their disposition. Were the corporations as a whole guilty, or should individuals have been held accountable? You be the judge. Thanks for stopping by this moment in history. If you have any stories or information about big business you'd like to share, please put them in the comment section of this video, but please keep it clean. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can find me across social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest, as well as on my website and blog, which is located at www.lindashentonmatchett.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Moments in History.